Hello. Today I'd like to talk about Russians. There's 144 million of them. And as you know, Russia has invaded Ukraine. There's a lot of discussion on how we should treat ordinary Russians. For example, Poland, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia all moved to block all Russian tourists from entering the country. Is this a good idea? I was watching after the mobilization order was announced as Russians were pouring across the border from Russia into the Republic of Georgia. I saw two protesters. Well, there was a lot more than two, but there was two protesters and specifically that were holding a sign that said on the sign, "Russian deserters, you are not welcome. Is this the right path?" We're going to talk about that today. Let me start by telling you a story. When I was in university, I studied in Russia for 2 semesters. I remember one night at a dormitory party. I was at the party looking around the room. Shared friendship everywhere. Everybody having a good time. Suddenly it hit me. We almost destroyed each other. Russians and Americans. We almost completely annihilated each other. In that moment, in the midst of shared friendship, it seemed completely unnecessary and completely insane. Now again, we're talking about the potential reality of a possible nuclear war again between Russia and the West. And I understand. It's a difficult situation. A lot of people are getting hurt, killed, and it's just awful. But I think we have to keep a clear head about how we handle the situation. Specifically, how we treat ordinary Russians that are innocent of involvement in this war. As I mentioned earlier, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia moved to block all Russians from entering the country. Is this going to actually promote Russians being against the war? Maybe. It's hard to say. It's possible that the difficulties that we give Russians may cause some of them to decide that the war is just too difficult and they want to be against it. However, I think there's a risk. I think that if we alienate all Russians, including Russians that are against the war or Russians that aren't sure what they think about the war, if we alienate all of them, we may push Russians into a type of tribalism. If we push Russians into a type of tribalism, it will be counterproductive because then Russians will be more likely to support their leader who is right now waging war and destroying the country of Ukraine. So, what should we do? In my view, I think that any Russian that wants to leave Russia because they want to avoid getting mobilized should be welcomed with open arms into the West and given full asylum. Additionally, I think we need to be very cautious about any bans on letting Russians enter other countries because it's when Russians go to other countries and actually experience other people, spend time with them, as I spent with Russians, where you get that epiphany, that moment where you realize maybe killing each other isn't a good idea and actually we can be friends. Anyway, what do you guys think? Should we ban all Russians from entering Western countries? Should we shut off their visa cards? Should we give Russians asylum that want to avoid getting drafted into the military? What do you think? How should we treat ordinary Russians? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks.